Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Rabbi F. Schwartz podcast. I would like everyone please to watch it and comment if you like, and please subscribe to the channel. What is your history with the Druze? How did you come to know them?
The Druze, I think that the first time I met the Druze, I think it was when I was in the army, but I think that maybe even before. First of all, my father, which was a big Zionist and a big a supporter of Begin, what is actually become a Likud party, Herut party, the Likud party. Surprisingly, while he was at the very, very right, if you can divide right and left, he used to work, he had two partners all his life in the garage he built. One was a guy from Tunis, and the other one was a guy, Muslim, not Druze, from Paradise. Yeah, you know Paradise.
Yes.
They went to nearby Hedera, sorry. And we used to go to the family, our family, and meet them Fridays. We used to travel and meet them, and and we got to know them. It was like a family. So first of all, even my father, the Zionist, Begin, Begin was like
Yes.
God.
Right.
Said, hey, these are people who live with us. They are
Right.
great people. They are wonderful. We should do whatever to live with them. So I was born in a way that I should look at who is Israeli and not, hey, who is a Jew and does he wear a yarmulke or not wearing yarmulke, and which yarmulke, by the way, it's another issue.
Right.
So that begins from really very young child, as I was. Maybe when I was at the age of 10 years old, that my father had this partner. And then I think that I met the first Druze in the army, and he was a great guy. And then I went, so I got then I gave a lecture one day at Dalit al-Carmel, I believe, to a group of entrepreneurs that were Druze. And I always happy to give a lecture to young entrepreneurs talking about entrepreneurship, the difficult way, the hurdles, the disappointments, the difficulties, the failures, getting insulted every second day. Yeah. And still how great it is to be an entrepreneur and how wonderful it is when you make it successful or sell something that brings value, people, or make people's life better. So I went to give a lecture, and there was a guy there that was he actually was in the army in 8200, and it was, yeah. And and then after I finished my presentation, I stayed with them that initial hour, and after everybody went, he still stayed with me another hour, which was a very interesting story. He was very unique. He was Rav Seren. Rav Seren is like a colonel. And we spoke a lot about environment there, and so I learned a lot from. And then we became sort of friends. He came to visit me at my offices, and so on. So and then I went to one of the South American countries. The ambassador was a Druze as well, and again, amazing guy. So I found that every Druze, every is a lot, but many of the Druze people I met were very unique and very nice. These people are people that are simple in the good way of saying somebody about somebody that is simple doesn't sound good, but this is simple in the right way. No over sophistication. Very much but attention to the family issue. Family, by the way, that's one of the weaknesses because they go and study in Technion. They're smart, as anybody else, maybe smarter. But they go to Technion, they finish their studies, and then they don't move to Tel Aviv. This is very rare. If they move out of the home, they prefer to go back to the homes and live from there, which is very difficult to build like that. Startups and be involved in the high-tech community. It is possible, but we'll do it. And then every time I can, I get amazing feedback, and I see the desire to hear about technology, to get involved, to influence. And it's really a pleasure to come to the events and do my small portion of supporting them. You've been to the event, we've been together. Yeah, this
Yes,
was,
that was about 2 months.
several of them. It's not
Right,
so.
right.
By the way, just yesterday there was an article published about government support to DTEC.
Mm-hmm.
Are you
Oh,
always
beautiful.
So the DTEC is actually we are supporting DTEC as well, and
Mm-hmm.
DTEC is getting from the government now a special budget
Excellent.
to do investment in the young generation of those to go and study technology, maybe establish companies that mostly education, but not just education, which I made me very, very happy to see it. So I feel very close to the Druze. By the way, I read about the Druze, the history, the very, very unique religion,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the mentality, how they are acting in every country they are. And these are very brave people, by the way, as you know it probably. They are very proud of being the brave people, great fighters. And yeah, so I feel very close to them. That's, but this is a process over the years. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned before that it's simple in the right way. It's so true because people can be very sophisticated and be very, very selfish. People can be very simple and be very, very kind. When the war began a year ago, I joined the Sword of Iron war unit here in the north, and I then later on joined the police unit. And my commanders are Druze, and so working with the Druze, you see the bravery, the toughness, their smartness, and the simplicity of kindness and so forth. Very, very like you feel like a brother to them. So one of the questions I'm sure the audience will like to know is, from your perspective, what do you feel the Jewish community, besides in Israel, but around the world, should know and relate to the Jews? As should they be a community, as a nation, as brothers? How should we see them?
Well, generally, I see them as citizens of Israel, brothers, same part of the country, good part of the country. More Zionists than many Jews that in this country, which what I'm talking about. So they should have their holidays, and we should honor their holidays. I I hope that they are learning Hebrew, and most of them are learning Hebrew. Unfortunately, I'm going as well sometimes to give lectures at Muslims that are Israel citizens, and then I find that many of them don't know Hebrew, which I think it's a big, big, big mistake. Because if you don't know Hebrew in this country, you're not part of it. So you are pushed out of it just by the fact that the Misad HaChinuch, the education ministry, don't see it as important. But the Druze I'm talking with, at least the ones I met, are talking Hebrew, are part of the community, and they should stay as part of it as well as us. There is no difference.
Yes, yeah, you're right about language. Language not only in Israel, but language in any part in any world. When you're in France, you speak French. When you're in England, you speak English.
Yeah,
When you're in Spain, you speak Spanish. And the
that,
dominant language is the language of society. And it's true that even let's example people, Jews who come from America, and they speak English. They have a very tough time here because the language here is Hebrew. So, at the same token, example, when I work with the Jews and the policemen and the force, you see how they speak Hebrew and how they write well in Hebrew too. It's one thing
yeah,
to speak, but also to write too. So you're right in terms of that aspect. And the Jews all recognize us as that this is our state, our land, and they say this is the Jewish land, this is the Jewish state, and we honor that and respect that. And part of also of Zionism, people don't understand, is that we have respect for the minority because we were the minority for 2,000 years in different places. And it's
right.
unfortunate sometimes that people don't understand that Zionism is that. They think Zionism is racism, just the opposite. It's the greatest liberation movement of any indigenous people.
You know, if I can talk about touch a little bit religious issues, that even the Torah, which we are based, your religion, my religion, are based on Torah. Finally, that's the book that is the base of everything. It tells, hey, you have to be fair to, even if it's minority living in your country, you have to be fair with them. You have to actually allow you are supposed to give them the Shabbat, let them rest during the Shabbat because they are part of you. If you look at I'm going taking it several thousand years farther. If you look at Jabotinsky, which is actually the persona that actually was a big Zionist and he's like the Herzl, he's like the flag of the right wing, yeah. He's the guy which Begin was following him, and the Herut party was a party that says Jabotinsky. When I was a child, I had to read. He wrote about there are certain books which all his he wrote books, he wrote poems, he had many speeches, and all of them are appearing. It's about certain books that collects everything that he wrote, everything he talks. And as a child, I had to read it. By the way, it was twice. Yeah. So even Jabotinsky, which you would define as the most extreme right person then, before the country was established, he was talking that in Israel, that he wants to see there would live the Jewish people and the Arab people, he said Arab in general, which could be, doesn't matter, Muslim and Christians, Druze, side by side, fully in full freedom, in full equal rights, yeah. And this is so different from the right wing today, which is not a right wing. I won't go into politics, but practically it's not the Jabotinsky way or the Begin way. It's not real right. It's actually, I would say, sometimes left right that is hidden behind the claims, hey, you are lefties, you are boged, you are
Traitor.
you are traitor, left, yeah. Hey, guys, you're actually the left. You're just hiding among a mask of a right, yeah.
Right.
And you absolutely don't do what the parents of the right wing in Israel said. Arabs should be equal, right? We should live side by side.
The things that
And we should strive to a peace with our neighbors, by the way. This is again part of it. This Jabotinsky, if I go back to it, he said, he defined something called Kira Barzel, the wall of iron, okay? He said, there are enemies. We build a wall of iron, and we have to protect ourselves. We have to be very careful if we are attacked, yeah? And notice as well that the country was established. They didn't call the army in Israel the army of attack or the army. This is the Tzva Haganah, the army of defense of Israel. Army was established to defend Israel. Yeah. So I think that Druze should be part of us by all means, with equal rights, with the right budget, with the right rules, with the right abilities to build the houses, to expand their villages, as we do in other places.
Yes, I totally agree with you. See, as you mentioned before about Jabotinsky and also Ben Gurion and all the past was a different type of Zionist leadership. It had a dream of making a new state, of creating a new reality, of where people respected the majority, the minority, that to both be recognized, to create a new day, the Nevi'im, the words of the prophets. And we have to be Ola Goyim, to be the light unto nations. We can still be, and we have the potential, and we will be that way. There's no doubt about it. And that's one of the things that also is very hurtful sometimes when you see that who we are, where we came from, and there is in society there is the idea of equality, but not enough yet, not enough yet. And even within our own group, within our own Jewish groups, you have this friction between Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, you have Charadim, you have Chilonim, those religious, not religious, and so forth. This it's a sadness that we have this division. But again, we were separated for 2,000 years. We came back only 100 years ago, basically, as a group. Many things are being eradicated. The fact that we all have so much pressure around us with war, with economic struggle, and yet we're able to achieve this solidarity. What was very impressive was that even after October 7th, when things could have gone the other way, people came together. That was interesting. That was very interesting. And that being the case, then, that even more imperative that we have to uplift the Druze community. Of all the communities that, as I always mention to people, they're the most loyal to us. That in that case. So another question to you: when you see things as an entrepreneur and you see in business ventures and so forth. If second chances intrigue you, the quest Get Back Your Ex is a must-watch. 6 broken lives, 1 redemption journey. This show is packed with emotion, suspense, and love. Learn more by clicking on the link in the description below. The question of the spirit of the entrepreneur. The question of, as mentioned, how can relate to society to create a better society for us?
Well, generally, if you look at entrepreneurship, then entrepreneurship is coming as a very, very, I would say, sort of egoism. I want to do something which is good for me. And by the way, most of the entrepreneurs, if you really take off all the covers, what they want to do is to create success. That's the first motivation of them to be established and go this very, very difficult way of entrepreneurship, going to the unknown. But after the people become mature and money, they get to money, or they understand that money would always exist for them one way or another. And by the way, there's no big difference if you have $1 million or $10 million or $1 billion. And by the way, and people can be poor and still more happier. It doesn't. The correlation is not high. There's an issue if you don't have money to live. That's another issue. That's an issue. But once you go into pesos, there's some number. It's very similar. So once you go over that, you begin to understand that there should be something behind just making money. So most of the entrepreneurship is, hey, how can I make a better world? How can I do something that is used by many people? How can I do something that extends life? How can I make something that maybe will get other people to follow me and make a change? And by the way, entrepreneurship doesn't have to be only high-tech. I'm talking all sorts of entrepreneurship. I'm met today 2 groups of people that they say, they were entrepreneurs saying, we want to do something to influence actually and make something that would be better. I'll give you an example. It's people who came to me with a claim that managers of school manager is handled in Israel in a very bad way. I didn't know it. But actually there is no definition at the Ministry of Education of a manager of school. Manager of school is somebody who was a teacher, and over the years he got management responsibilities. But they treat him like, hey, he's a teacher. He will get some money for managing which is totally wrong, because a manager of a school has to be somebody who leads the school and leads the teachers and define values and define strategy for the school and build culture, the culture of the school. There are so many things to be done. And they don't get the right tools to do it. No one teach them how to do it. And somehow the systems treat them like, hey, they're managing school, they get some money. And everybody can become actually practically a manager of a school. And these guys came and say, hey, we want to make a change. This is a big mistake. And I do agree with them. It's a big mistake, specifically while the education of ministry education is practically trying to control everything. So if they get into this job and they want to do something, hey, they're not the manager of the school. They are a peso. They'll get the directions from the Ministry of Education. They will have to get approvals for everything they want to do, which is not according to the protocol, which is very limited. Every expense, hey, So these guys came to me, and that's entrepreneurship. They are not looking to make money. They're looking to make the life of managers easier, better. They are looking to actually make the education in Israel much better, which is a must because we are behind others in education. Education is so important. So I brought it as an example of entrepreneurship. So I think that the real entrepreneurship comes with a mission of doing well for the world. And even if your initial concept is, I'll do well for myself, I'll become rich. So the time it will become, hey, doing something for the world or for the people around me. By the way, in countries where communist countries where you don't there is no entrepreneurship in communist countries because hey, everybody by definition works for the others with the others. The status is that everybody is poor, nothing good is happening, no progress, a lot of corruption. Yeah. So I do believe that, and so entrepreneurship is like counter socialism or counter communism. And still, I believe that that's the way to make this world better. Look at the countries which encourage entrepreneurship, America, yeah, versus the countries where there's zero entrepreneurships. You know, many of those countries which are east to us, actually, that for them, you know, no entrepreneurship and no technology and no progress,
You know,
unfortunately.
you mentioned basically the idea of making the world a better place. And that's using the ego in a positive sense. There's ways that the ego can go in a negative way, and that could be evil, where everything's for is a selfish way, self-centered. The other way, the ego could say, "No, I want to push myself to be the best I can be, best I can reach." There's a special Hasidic story, interesting story. A man named Zuza, and Zuza was passed away, and he came to the heavenly court, and he said to the Hashem, to God, he said, "I'm so sorry it wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu. I'm so sorry it wasn't David HaMelech. I'm so sorry I wasn't Shimshon." And Hashem said, God said to him, "I never asked you to be these people. I asked you to be Zuza." That's what I asked you to be.
I know the story. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yes.
That
Yeah.
is so important that everyone has a potential. And if we can teach the youth that type of spirit and give them the tools to bring them to that new light, to say they can also in turn have been so speaking a person has that same even the family too, make the family unit even better, have the family unit have see themselves in a way that they can have a goal. I want to make such a goal within let's say a year for my family, so much money or so much interaction, relationship, and so forth. Then interpretation of pioneering can apply to family, can apply to community, can apply to all
Yeah.
these things. That's what by one of my goals I want to make is to create a video series, a lecture series, and I love you to be part of it because your experience and your insight would be wonderful to teach the youth that way and also to teach the communities here, to teach the Druze community, the Muslim community, the Christian community, and to uplift everyone. You know, that's because basically people forget we're all made in B'Tselem Elokim, in the image of God. Potential each human being has is tremendous, it's incredible. And you want, when I first met you a few months ago, I asked you what inspired you to make the USB, and you told me because I wanted to solve the problem. And that's it.
I had my own personal problem which I wanted to solve, but unfortunately for me, it solved problems of many, many people worldwide. Yeah, that's fine. That's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's this, and people are so, so to speak, so um, what's the right word? Similar, relatable, and yet the solutions are there, but people don't know how to push themselves to solutions. And that's one of the spirit but the person who does the business movement. That's the difference between the communism and capitalism and so forth. In terms of being the inventor, being the businessman, what do you see in the next 5 years or 10 years of Israel society and Jewish society around the world?
Well, first of all, I'll begin with the war. I think that these years currently, the years to come, are amazing years of really breakthrough in technology, I think that AI is changing the world as much, even more than how internet changed the world, how personal computers change the world, how cellular phones, smartphones change the world, how microprocessors change the world. So we are seeing things that are happening maybe once every 10 years, a great step in technology progress because of the AI and the capabilities of AI and where it's going to influence us in anything we are going to do. Many jobs will be eliminated because people are doing something dumb that the computer can replace them. But there'll be new jobs, there'll be new capabilities, new ideas.
Looking for a holiday read that will change your outlook on life? Through Fire and Water is a gripping tale of redemption, love, and suspense. This thriller will have you hooked from start to finish. For more information, click the link in the description.
I'll take one subject that I think is very, very strong. It's the subject of health. I think the combination of health and AI is amazing because health, which seems to be wonderful, is not wonderful. There are so many deficiencies and problems and useless deaths coming of the current health system. Yeah, that could be eliminated by getting the knowledge, spreading the knowledge, getting the right conclusions and ideas from this data, analyze the data, from the analysis of this data, that many things are going to change. The way of developing drugs, for example, how people are different. The health of today, because it's still not based on massive data collection, is working in a way that it's not personal. You have a headache, take this medicine. You have this cancer, take this treatment. But each one of us is different. And the system doesn't try to understand those differences and practically tries to make the work for the physician quite simple by saying, hey, here are the rules. This is the phenomena, that's a medicine. He cannot deal with it. It's so complicated that you could not practically work or do anything else if he would have to go into the details of what should fit you and how. But computers do have this capability. So you're going to see a yet huge change in the structure. How it influenced Israel and how it influenced the Druze. So I do believe that Israel is a place with an amazing level of entrepreneurship. I hope that we will be among the countries that are heading this wave, riding on this wave of a breakthrough and amazing change that would happen because of AI. I do believe that tools should be part of it, and I am looking for seeing more and more those that are joining the high-tech community, being part of it as developers and as programmers and other jobs existing in high-tech, and in other cases as well as entrepreneurs that say, hey, I'm going to establish my company. My parents were very, very brave. They were not fear of dangerous situations and unknown. I'm going to be like them. But the way I'm going to be like them is by doing it in high tech. Mm. And that's the Druze, take the Druze braveness into the current society and life, which are life of technology and progress.
In the last year or so, we had it always, it's part of our history, anti-Semitism. And after October 7th, things came even worse. Now, in the year 2019, about 5 years ago, I wrote an article for Times of Israel, and I called the article Jew Season, because I'm also a filmmaker too. And I wrote, what will be a scenario that in the year 2030, after the children, the kids are in Ivy League schools, Harvard, Princeton, and so forth, MIT, being brainwashed by BDS, what will happen? It'll be September 2030, and these will be the new leaders of the world, and they will vote Israel out of existence, and then they will start a worldwide Jew hunt. That's why I call it Jew Season. When I wrote in 2019, they said, oh, your imagination has gone wild, you're crazy, and so forth. Unfortunately, now 5 years later, It's become a reality.
Yeah.
What have you seen as a Jew, as an Israeli, interacting with other people around the world? Have you had this problem with Judaism or not?
I'll tell you honestly, I think that there is a big difference between when you say Harvard, you see him say Harvard, all Harvard or Princeton or MIT, or they do have two parts. There is a part which is the guys who are studying engineering, science, medical, whatever, and are the guys who are studying new history or art or whatever. Different guys, different people. In the high tech, I meet a lot of people from abroad, a lot. You have no idea. I mean, really, in the very high levels of the CEOs of the top companies at semiconductors, at least, and others, or top funds. And I don't see anything related to the opposite, anti-Semitism. Actually, that's because they are so sensitive to that. They are talking at how bad they feel, seeing what's happening. And the guys at the universities, I think that the majority of them, the ones that are really making the noise, first, some of them are Palestinians, of course, or Arabs that are living in America and highly identify themselves with Palestine. And many of them are Americans that, they have this walk, the walk movement, where generally, this is Israel, they like fighting the old history of, how they call it, colonialism,
Right. Yes.
where countries used to spread into other countries and, Africa and Southeast Asia and conquer them. So hey, they don't really understand what is the roots of this fight, not fight, but סכסוך, this
Confrontation.
fight, confrontation between Israel and its neighbors. By the way, they don't understand it's mostly the ultra-Orthodox Muslim concept. These guys from Hamas, which are very religious movement. Many of those people that are talking against Israel, demonstrating against it, they have no clue regarding what stands behind this fight or confrontation between Israel and these Arabs. By the way, it's not Arabs. It's because with some Arabic countries we do have peace process, and with some Arab, it's even very good peace relations. I came last week from the Emirates, and I enjoyed very much being there, and I feel very safe there. But usually it's the ones who are Hamas. It's an ultra-Orthodox movement, which none of these guys, the ones that are bashing Israel or talking against Israel, understand exactly what is the concept of the Hamas. Hamas is not just killing Israelis; they kill their own country, own people, on people. When they went into and they took the charge for Gaza, do you know what they've done to people who were recognized as the guys of the other organization, the PLO? They threw them from the five-store buildings to the ground, killing them like that. First of all, think about somebody who is killing somebody else by doing that. And by the way, do you know why they did it like that? So everybody can see. Everybody can see. Yeah. These are the guys that the promoters of Hamas, from the river to the sea, want to really take control of, support. Guys who raped, went to kibbutzim that supported them, these people, gave them jobs, gave them, and raped the female and kidnapped kids. Come on. So it's, saying it's such an injustice. But again, some of them, they just have no clue. Some of them are seeing that, hey, probably it's like the Americans and the people that was brought from Africa as slaves. And hey, so this is Israel is the America, and here are this is not the situation. They're not slaves. We don't try to make them slaves or people who work for us for nothing or whatever. Um, and it's but it's the world of today is a world which is very shallow, and the knowledge is very poor, and everybody can tell stories and lie. By the way, Arabs are really very good in telling stories, and it's not all the Arabs, of course, but many of them, they do have the talent for telling the story very nicely. And unfortunately, too many people in America stopped reading facts, understanding truth, and just identify themselves as the, the miserable people, as their parents were or whatever, and the ones who would protect, the miserable people. Practically what they support is a bunch of murderers, ultra-Orthodox, that once they have the chance, they'll do what they've done in October 7 in Israel to the people in America.
That's
Once
so
they have the
true.
chance.
So true. When you talk to young people and then you tell them, you have queers for Palestine. You have,
Yeah.
which is an
If they go
oxymoron.
to Gaza, if these squares would go to Gaza,
Yes.
they would die. After I won't give them 48 hours to live, to stay alive.
Correct. And then you have also feminists for Palestine, for Hamas and so forth. They have so brainwashed, they're so ignorant of the truth, and their so to speak, their software has been so upside down, which is their knowledge is so messed up, so to speak. It's that to reprogram them with the truth is mind blowing for them. I just saw a video 2 days ago where American Indians, indigenous Indians, are fighting for us, the Jewish people, and they're going out in the streets of New York and so forth and saying, "We identify with the Jewish people. The Jewish people are the most indigenous nation in the world. We've been in Israel. We've seen their history. We've seen their agriculture. We've seen the records and the stones and all the amazing archaeology of the Jewish people. They are indigenous, and we identify them with them because why? We're indigenous to North America. And so when they talk to the young people put their fingers in their ears and says, no, 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 we can't hear this. La la la, it's impossible. We can't hear this. No. And then he said, "Jeez." And then we start asking, then breaking down everything with them. They said, what, you telling us what the Jews were there for 3,000 years? Yes. And you're telling the Jews are the ones who gave the world love the neighbor as thyself? Yes. And you think the Jews are the ones who gave the idea of one God? Yes. And you think the Jews gave the idea of morality? Yes. In fact, last week I had a conversation with someone. I told him he could look in the Parsha, the Torah section where Avinu, Abraham, has just had a war to save his nephew. He says to God, I'm afraid that maybe I killed too much in war. If you think about it, that is the first introduction to world history and philosophy of a war crime. Here, Avraham Avinu is afraid of a war crime. So who introduced these ideas of morals and ethics? We, the Jewish people, and yet they take this away from us. They say we had the appropriation. So your point is so right and so true.
By the way, and I do have criticism about things which some people, some part of my country, my people are doing. We are not perfect. We are not perfect. Unfortunately, we do have ultra orthodox or some guys which are ultra right that I totally disagree with them as well. But the fact that I disagree with my own people is okay. It doesn't mean that I would agree with these lunatic guys stating Israel is Palestine from the river till the sea, like which the meaning of it is kill the Jews, all of them.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
That's
No
so
place
true.
to lose him.
Very true. Thank you
That's
so
right.
much for being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You've given us great insight. You've to sum it all up this way, um, you've shown us what a gentleman is, what a person of intellectual abilities can be, what a heart is, what kindness is, and you're inspiring the young people today. You remind me of the bridge of the past generation to the new generation. The new generation sometimes doesn't realize what the past generation had, the greatness, the morals, the ethics, the strength of character, and you're the bridge from that generation to this generation, which is tremendous. And that you're willing and that you're showing your ideas and what the Zionist dream really is all about. And that people have maligned us and abused us, and men like you, inventors like you, are saying, no, this is the truth. I will stand for the truth. I can disagree with my brother, but he's my brother. And doesn't mean if I disagree with my brother, that means my enemy is right. Not at all. The truth is the truth. And we're one nation, one people, and we will be a light unto nation in all things, in business, in entrepreneurship, in technology. And as always, our mainstay is our morals and ethics. Am Bachatanu, the destination Al Goyim. Thank you so much and appreciate everything. Thank you.
Bye bye.